What if I told you these aren't just quirks of biology, but hints of something far stranger, far more fundamental, happening right between your ears? We're talking about the mind-bending rules of quantum physics potentially playing out in the very core of your consciousness. Stick around, because we're about to explore a scientific frontier that sounds like fiction, but might just be the key to understanding the true power of the human mind. Now let's get one thing straight. Quantum physics is weird, really weird. At its heart lies a phenomenon so bizarre Einstein himself called it spooky action at a distance. It's called quantum entanglement. Imagine you have two special coins. You flip them and they land in separate sealed boxes. You open one box and see heads. Instantly, faster than light, you know the other coin must be tails, even if that box is on the moon. These coins are linked, entangled. Their fates are intertwined, no matter the distance. Think about that. Two particles, once connected, remain linked in a fundamental way. Measuring a property of one particle instantaneously influences the property of the other, regardless of separation. It defies our everyday logic of cause and effect happening locally. For decades, this spookiness was confined to the ultra-cold, ultra-controlled world of physics labs, dealing with subatomic particles. We saw it with photons, particles of light, recently even capturing images of this ghostly connection. It was fascinating, but surely, this delicate quantum dance couldn't happen in the warm, wet, messy environment of the human brain, right? Well, hold on to your neurons, because that's exactly where things get truly shocking. Neuroscientists peering into the living brain have stumbled upon evidence suggesting this exact quantum phenomenon might be happening within our own brain waves. This isn't just a fringe theory anymore. It's emerging from serious research, potentially rewriting the rulebook on how our brains process information, generate consciousness, and maybe even unlock hidden potentials. Picture this. Scientists at Trinity College Dublin, armed with sophisticated MRI technology, weren't just looking for blood flow, the usual target. They adapted their techniques to look for something much more subtle, something that hinted at quantum processes. What they found, published in late 2022, was electrifying. They detected specific brain signals that exhibited characteristics uncannily similar to entangled quantum systems. Now here's the kicker, the part that sends shivers down your spine. These entanglement-like signals weren't just random noise. They correlated directly with moments when the study participants were consciously aware and engaged in cognitive tasks. When the participants drifted off to sleep, when consciousness seemingly faded, these specific signals vanished. It was as if the very presence of consciousness flickered these quantum connections into existence. Imagine that. It's like finding out your car engine doesn't just run on gasoline, but also gets a boost from tiny, invisible teleportation devices that only switch on when you're actually driving attentively. Could it be that the very act of being aware, of thinking, feeling, and making decisions, relies on harnessing this quantum magic, as the researchers hinted? If this connection between observed quantum-like signals and the state of consciousness holds up under further scrutiny, it's not just a small step, it's a quantum leap in understanding ourselves. It suggests that consciousness isn't just an emergent property of complex classical computation, but might be deeply rooted in the fundamental quantum nature of reality. Why is this potential quantum connection such a game changer? Think about what your brain does effortlessly every single second. It processes a torrent of sensory information, retrieves memories, makes complex judgments, learns new skills, navigates social interactions, generates creative ideas, all with incredible speed and efficiency, using only about as much power as a dim light bulb. Even the most powerful supercomputers, crunching numbers at blinding speeds, struggle to replicate the fluidity, adaptability, and nuanced understanding of the human mind. Why the discrepancy? Why are our biological brains so remarkably adept? According to Dr. Christian Kerskens, a lead physicist on that groundbreaking Trinity College project, the answer might lie precisely in these quantum phenomena. He suggests that if our brains are utilizing quantum entanglement, it could provide a computational advantage that classical systems simply cannot match. Entanglement allows for correlations and information processing capabilities that go beyond standard electrical signaling between neurons. It could enable a form of parallel processing far more sophisticated than we ever imagined, allowing the brain to perform mental feats that seem almost instantaneous. Think about learning to ride a bike. Initially, it's all conscious effort, wobbling, thinking about every little adjustment. But then something clicks. Suddenly, you're balancing, steering, pedaling, all coordinated seamlessly. Your brain is processing a huge amount of information, balance, speed, direction, terrain, and making constant micro-adjustments. Could quantum entanglement be the mechanism that allows these different neural processes to sync up so rapidly and efficiently, creating that smooth, almost effortless experience? Or consider a musician improvising, pulling together scales, rhythm, emotion, and interaction with other musicians in real time. Is that complex, instantaneous creativity partly powered by quantum connections weaving through their neural network? This brings us to the Everest of scientific questions. What is consciousness? How does non-living matter arrange itself in such a way that it becomes aware? How do electrical signals and chemical reactions give rise to the subjective experience of seeing red, feeling joy, or pondering the universe? It's a mystery that has baffled philosophers and scientists for centuries. If the Trinity College findings and related theories are pointing in the right direction, we might be on the verge of a paradigm shift. Perhaps consciousness isn't just something that emerges from complex computation in the brain, like software running on hardware. Perhaps consciousness is intrinsically linked to the brain's ability to harness quantum processes. Maybe awareness itself requires these entanglement-like connections to bind together information from different brain regions into a unified, subjective whole. It's like we've been trying to solve a jigsaw puzzle with a crucial piece missing, the quantum piece. Finding it could unlock entirely new ways of thinking about awareness, selfhood, and our place in the cosmos. But how? How could these delicate quantum states possibly exist and function within the brain? The story gets even more intriguing when we look closer at the brain's wiring. We know our nerve fibers, the axons, are wrapped in protective layers called myelin sheaths. Think of them like the insulation around an electrical wire. For years, we thought their main job was simply to speed up the transmission of electrical signals along the neuron and prevent signal loss. Essential, but fairly straightforward. However, some cutting-edge theories propose something far more exotic. What if these myelin sheaths are doing more than just insulating? What if they are acting as tiny, biological quantum devices? Researchers are exploring the possibility that structures within or interacting with the myelin could generate pairs of entangled photons, those linked particles of light we talked about earlier. Imagine the myelin sheath isn't just passive insulation, but an active component, like a miniature fiber optic cable capable of generating these quantum-linked light signals. These entangled photons, created within the brain structure, could then potentially travel and interact, carrying information in a way fundamentally different from standard electrical impulses. If this is happening, it means the spooky action of entanglement isn't just a theoretical possibility based on indirect measurements of brain waves. It could be a direct mechanism woven into the very fabric of our neural network. What would be the advantage of having entangled photons zipping around inside your head? Speed and efficiency on a whole new level. Classical neural communication relies on electrical signals hopping from one neuron to the next across synapses, a process that takes time, even with myelin's help. If entangled photons are involved, communication between linked neurons, even those far apart in the brain, could become nearly instantaneous. Remember, the connection in entanglement isn't limited by the speed of light in the same way signal transmission is. Think about recognizing a familiar face in a crowd. Your brain instantly matches the visual pattern to stored memories, retrieves associated emotions and information, and brings it all into your conscious awareness in a fraction of a second. How does it coordinate all these different processes, involving different brain regions, so quickly? Entangled photons, providing instantaneous links across the neural network, could offer a compelling explanation for this kind of ultra-fast integration and synchronization. It might be the key to how different parts of the brain coordinate complex tasks, achieving a level of coherence and efficiency that's hard to explain otherwise. This could fundamentally change our models of brain synchronization, cognitive binding, how different features of an object are perceived as a single entity, and the very flow of information that underlies thought. The potential implications don't stop there. Let's consider two core cognitive functions: making decisions and forming memories. Could quantum mechanics be giving us an edge here too? Our ability to make rapid, complex decisions, often under uncertainty, is remarkable. Sometimes we weigh pros and cons logically, but other times, we rely on gut feelings or make snap judgments that turn out to be surprisingly accurate. Scientists, like those at Pompeu Fabra University and the University of Oxford, are developing models suggesting that the brain's decision-making processes might actually harness quantum principles. Instead of evaluating options one by one, linearly, perhaps the brain uses quantum superposition and entanglement to explore multiple possibilities simultaneously. Imagine trying to find the best route through a maze. A classical approach might try one path, hit a dead end, backtrack, try another. A quantum-inspired approach could, in a sense, explore many paths at once. The brain, using quantum-like processing, might be able to weigh different potential outcomes, emotional responses, and relevant memories in parallel, collapsing onto the optimal decision much faster than a step-by-step classical algorithm. Studies using quantum probability models have actually shown they can sometimes describe human decision-making paradoxes better than traditional models. Could this explain those moments of seemingly instant knowing, or why our choices sometimes defy simple logic? And what about memory? How do we store the vast library of our lives and retrieve specific moments, sometimes unexpectedly? Here, another quantum phenomenon might play a role: quantum tunneling. Quantum tunneling is the bizarre ability of a particle to pass through a barrier it shouldn't classically have enough energy to overcome. It's like rolling a ball towards a hill, and instead of rolling back down, it simply appears on the other side. In the brain, some theorists propose that information transfer relevant to memory formation and retrieval might involve quantum tunneling, perhaps at the synaptic level or within molecular structures. This could allow information to bridge gaps in neural pathways or link concepts in non-obvious ways. Have you ever had a memory surface seemingly out of the blue, triggered by something completely unrelated? Or experienced that feeling of déjà vu, where a new situation feels uncannily familiar? Classical models of memory often depict it as a linear filing system, but our actual experience of memory is often associative, non-linear, and sometimes fragmented. Quantum tunneling could offer a mechanism for these jumps in memory retrieval, linking stored information across seemingly unconnected neural patterns, explaining the fluid, sometimes unpredictable, nature of recall. Okay, this all sounds incredibly exciting, almost like science fiction becoming reality. But we need to pump the brakes slightly and address the elephant in the room, or rather, the quantum state in the warm, wet, noisy room that is the brain. For decades, the prevailing view among many physicists and neuroscientists has been a resounding, no way. Quantum effects like entanglement and superposition are notoriously fragile. They typically require extremely cold temperatures and isolation from environmental interference to persist. The brain, being warm, bustling with electrical activity, and generally noisy from a physics perspective, seems like the worst possible place for delicate quantum states to survive. This problem is called quantum decoherence. Think of it like trying to maintain a perfectly still water surface during an earthquake. The constant vibrations, the brain's thermal energy and activity, would quickly disrupt the delicate quantum state, causing it to collapse into a classical one, losing its quantum properties almost instantly. Prominent physicists like Max Tegmark calculated that quantum states in the brain likely decohere in femtoseconds, quadrillionths of a second. That's far too short to influence neural processes, which happen on the timescale of milliseconds, thousandths of a second. It seemed like a fatal blow to the idea of a quantum brain. But science rarely stands still. Is the case truly closed? Recent research and theoretical work are pushing back, suggesting the brain might not be such a hostile environment for quantum effects after all. Perhaps the brain isn't just a passive, noisy container, but has evolved specific structures or mechanisms that actively protect or even utilize quantum phenomena. Some theories point to intricate structures within neurons called microtubules. These protein filaments have a complex, crystalline structure that some researchers, like Sir Roger Penrose and Stuart Hameroff, propose could support quantum computations, shielded from the surrounding noise. Furthermore, there's a fascinating quantum phenomenon called the quantum Zeno effect. In simple terms, it suggests that if you constantly observe or measure a quantum system, you can prevent it from changing. It's like the saying, "A watched pot never boils," but applied to quantum states. Could biological processes within the brain effectively measure or interact with quantum states frequently enough to stabilize them, preventing rapid decoherence and allowing them to persist long enough to influence neural function? Now, let's be crystal clear. This is a fierce, ongoing debate. We are far from proving definitively that our brains operate as quantum computers. The evidence from the Trinity College study is tantalizing, but needs replication and further investigation. The theories about myelin, microtubules, and the Zeno effect are still largely speculative and face significant challenges. Critics rightly point out the lack of direct, unambiguous evidence, and the immense difficulty of quantum effects surviving the biological environment. So where does this leave us? We stand at a thrilling, uncertain crossroads. The possibility that quantum mechanics plays a direct, functional role in consciousness, decision-making, and memory is one of the most profound and exciting frontiers in science. It challenges our fundamental understanding of biology, neuroscience, and potentially the nature of reality itself. While we must remain scientifically rigorous and demand more evidence, the research emerging forces us to question long-held assumptions. The brain, already the most complex object known in the universe, might be harboring secrets far deeper and stranger than we ever imagined. What's the takeaway for us right now, living our everyday lives? Perhaps it's a renewed sense of awe for the incredible instrument residing within our skulls. Whether or not our brains are leveraging quantum entanglement, they are marvels of nature capable of extraordinary feats. This research encourages us to stay curious, to embrace the mysteries, and to recognize that our understanding of ourselves is constantly evolving. Maybe the lesson isn't about trying to consciously use quantum entanglement, but about appreciating the potential depth of our own minds. It's about fostering our intuition, embracing creativity, and realizing that the processes underlying our thoughts and feelings might be connected to the fundamental workings of the cosmos in ways we are only just beginning to glimpse. Our potential might be far greater, far more interconnected than we currently perceive. What do you think? Does the idea of a quantum brain resonate with your own experiences of consciousness, intuition, or rapid thought? Have you ever felt those spooky connections or had insights that seem to defy logical explanation? Where do you stand on this fascinating debate? Let us know your thoughts, experiences, and questions in the comments below. This is a conversation worth having. Thank you for joining us on this mind-bending journey into the quantum potential of the brain. We hope it sparked your curiosity and gave you something amazing to ponder. Please take care of yourselves, stay healthy, and keep exploring the wonders of the universe, both outside and within. If you found this exploration fascinating, please give this video a thumbs up, and most importantly, subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. We have many more journeys into the frontiers of science and the mysteries of the mind coming your way. Thanks for watching.